I'm Mohsen Jamal and you watch Afghan News. Afghan authorities are failing to enforce the law to protect women from murder, beating, rape and other violence and being sold into marriage and prostitution, the United Nations said on Wednesday. UN Assistance Mission in Afghanistan revealed in a report that only a small number of cases of violence against women have been prosecuted under the Elimination of Violence Against Women law passed more than 2 years ago. Prosecutors in Afghanistan filed indictments in 155 cases of 2,299 estimated incidents of violence against women, the UN mission said in the report, adding that in just 101 cases was the law used for eventual judgments. Although use of the law was clearly growing, there is a very long way to go before Afghan women are fully protected from violence. Navi Pillay, the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, said in a statement, the law passed in August 2009 supports equality for women, including criminalizing child and forced marriage, selling and buying women for marriage or for settling disputes, as well as forced self-immolation, emulation, among other acts. The World Bank says Afghanistan will need billions of dollars in external aid for a decade or more and could face economic collapse if international assistance is abruptly cut off as foreign military forces withdraw. A World Bank study released late on Tuesday says that this year Afghanistan received $15.7 billion in aid, which represents more than 90% of its public spendings. The study says that after foreign combat troops leave at the end of 2014, Afghanistan will need about $7 billion to finance its security forces, basic public and civil services. It says the international community has to find ways to mitigate the impact and find a more sustainable way to deliver aid in the years to come. The Afghan government is prepared to resume negotiations with the Taliban despite the assassination of its chief peace envoy Burhanuddin Rabbani. The senior official responsible for organizing the talks has said. Masum Stanekzai said talks would restart on condition that the insurgents established a political office first. In his first interview since leaving hospital last week, Stanekzai, who runs the Secretariat of Afghanistan's High Peace Council, said attempts to engage the Taliban in peace talks would continue as soon as Rabbani's successor had been chosen. He said a consultative assembly or Loya had come to the same conclusion on Saturday, but stressed the insurgents should talk from a clear address. Stanekzai, whose job is to help establish contacts and arrange meetings, denied the HPC had been too hasty in seeking Taliban contacts, arguing that kick-starting a peace process was an urgent necessity. Afghan police, backed by army and NATO-led coalition forces, have killed 30 armed insurgents and detained 40 others during operations in different provinces over the past 24 hours, the Afghan Interior Ministry said in a statement on Wednesday. The statement said that the Afghan National Police, Afghan National Army and coalition forces launched 17 joint operations in Kabul, Kunar, Nuristan, Faryab, Kandahar, Helmand, Zabul, Uruzgan, Wardak, Logar, Khost, Paktika, Paktia and Herat provinces over the past 24 hours, which resulted in killing 30 armed insurgents and arresting 40 others. The ANP also discovered and confiscated several weapons, according to the statement. Taliban militants have not commented on the issue yet. Pakistan appointed a former information minister and human rights campaigner as its ambassador to the United States on Wednesday, moving quickly to fill a post left vacant after tension between the civilian government and military. Sherry Rahman is a veteran member of President Asif Ali Zardari's Pakistan People's Party and a staunch proponent of civilian rule. Former Ambassador Hossein Haqqani resigned on Tuesday, days after a Pakistani-American businessman accused him of being behind a memo that said the military was plotting a coup and appealed to the Pentagon to help ward it off. Haqqani denied any connection with the memo. Rahman, a former journalist, was information minister for Zardari after the restoration of civilian rule following a 2008 election. The Republican presidential hopefuls for 2012 elections criticized U.S. policy toward Pakistan and called for placing sanctions on Iran's central bank in a lively and substantive foreign policy debate on Tuesday. The Republicans ganged up on Pakistan and questioned whether the United States could trust it, while Texas Governor Rick Perry called Pakistan unworthy of U.S. aid because it had not done enough to help fight al-Qaeda. Representative Michelle Bachmann, a member of the House Intelligence Committee, called Perry highly naif and said the United States should demand more from a violent and unstable Pakistan with nuclear weapons. Former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney said U.S. aid to Islamabad could help bring Pakistan into the 21st century or the 20th century for that matter. The extensive criticism of Pakistan featured nasty and provocative language, said Teresita Schaffer, a non-resident fellow at the Brookings Institution, but she said a Republican president probably would not change Pakistan policy much. In a discussion of ways to halt Iran's nuclear weapons program, Perry and Gingrich backed sanctions on the Iranian central bank. The UN General Assembly's Human Rights Committee has condemned Syria for its 8-month crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrators in a vote backed by Western nations and a number of Arab states. Tuesday's resolution, drafted by Britain, France, and Germany, received 122 votes in favor, 13 against, and 41 abstentions. Arab states that voted for it included co-sponsors Bahrain, Jordan, Kuwait, Morocco, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, as well as Egypt, Russia, and China, which vetoed a European drafted resolution that would have condemned Syria in the UN Security Council last month, abstained Bashar Jafri. Syrian UN ambassador said the resolution had no meaning for his country and portrayed it as a US-inspired political move. Egyptians angry over the slow transition to civilian rule have remained in the streets of the capital and other cities, continuing their protests despite apparent concessions offered by the country's ruling military council. Tens of thousands of protesters packed central Cairo Square late on Tuesday night, shouting, "Leave, leave," hours after Field Marshal Mohammad Hossein Tantawi, the chief of the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces, finished a short speech broadcast on state media. It in sense reminiscent of the 18-day uprising that toppled President Hosni Mubarak in February. The square resonated with chants of "The people want to bring down the field marshal." Tantawi promised that the military had no interest in staying in power and said a presidential election to replace the council as the country's ultimate executive authority would be held before July 2012, the first time Egypt's military rulers have set a deadline for the presidential vote. And that Ali Abdullah Saleh, the president of Yemen, has arrived in Saudi Arabia to sign a Gulf Power Transfer Initiative brokered by the 6-member Gulf Cooperation Council, the country's state television has reported. The station announced on Wednesday that the country's president has arrived at the Riyadh airport to visit the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia following an invitation from the Saudi leadership to attend the signing of the Gulf Initiative. Saleh's visit came after the UN's Yemen envoy Jamal Ben Omar told reporters on Tuesday that a deal aimed at ending months of political deadlock had been approved both by the opposition and by the president. Officially, Yemeni television said Saleh, who had previously refused to stand down despite street protests, was to attend the signing of the Gulf countries initiative and the implementation mechanism. The plan put forward last spring by the GCC countries headed by Saudi Arabia offers Saleh and his relatives immunity from prosecution if he hands over power to his deputy vice president Abdurrabbo Mansour Hadi. That's all for now. Thanks for staying with us.